What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. It is Sam Kelly here. Nice to meet you if this is your first time joining us, and if you are coming back for more, how are ya? Anyways, so as you saw, today's video is going to be a Q&A style. I really haven't done one of those in a while, but now I think that since I finished my first semester of PA school, I can definitely give you a little bit of insight, at least into didactic year. So I had you guys ask me on my Instagram, which, by the way, if you don't follow me, please do. I do post a lot of question boxes on there and other daily info about school, so you can follow me along a little bit more on there. But like I said, I posted a question box on there and I had you guys send me questions that you wanted me to answer. So I can't go through all of them, but I did pick out a couple that I feel like I'm either asked a lot or just that it's good for anyone doing PA school to know. So if you see me looking this way, it is because I have my laptop up with the questions that you guys asked me. I use my phone to record, so I can't really use that. So sometimes these get difficult, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna figure it out. So let's start with like a big one, which is kind of like an overarching one for PA school. So the first question was, is it what you expected? Meaning, is PA school what I expected? And I want to say yes. I feel like when people ask me that, I usually say yes, and then I add on. But I say yes because I really did expect PA school to be hard, and it was. And I knew it was going to be like undergrad on crack. I knew that it was going to require more time from me, so I just equated the more time spent in school was going to create more work. I knew that I was going to have multiple tests per week. I heard from other people that the information isn't necessarily difficult. Some of it is, but not all of it is considered difficult. It's just the will to learn it, memorize it, and then perform well on your tests. So I think I went in with that mindset of like what I thought PA school was, and then luckily that mental preparation of like knowing it's going to be hard, knowing it's going to take a lot out of me, definitely like prepared me to get through the semester. But I would say that it is what I expected. I expected it to be this hard. I expected to be tired. I expected a lot of tests, and I expected to feel a little bit overwhelmed at times. But I will say I am not as stressed as I thought I was going to be. I thought I was going to be a lot more stressed. And somehow I've like managed my stress better than I could have anticipated. So that's one surprising thing. Is it hard maintaining a relationship while in PA school? So if you've not already checked out my Weekend in a Life video, I suggest that you check that out. That kind of gives you an idea of how I spend my days off of PA school, and how I kind of squeeze in a lot of relationship time in there. So if you want to see that more in-depth video, I will link it in the eye or down below, whatever side it is. Never could get that right. To put it shortly, yes, it's difficult to maintain a relationship while in PA school, especially a romantic one. I do live with my fiance, so that definitely makes it a lot easier to see each other. But you definitely have to make time to spend with each other, see each other. Even though we live together, it doesn't mean that I see him all day, every day. Today I'm at home studying, but sometimes I go to my classmate's house to study, and I don't get home till 6, 7 o'clock, sometimes even later. So on the average day, we usually chat a little bit in the morning, a little bit at lunch if I'm home for lunch, and we try and spend the evenings together. If I don't have to study, I try and set aside one weekday night for us to have a at-home date night where I will put away my studies when it's time for dinner, and then I won't look at them until the morning time. And obviously I plan those around days where I don't have tests the next day. And then we usually do something with friends on the weekend, or sometimes if it's just a slow weekend, we do another date night, but maybe go out. It's hard, but it's 100% doable. How many finals did you have? Okay, so every program is different. I want to preface with that. So at the end of my first semester, we had our finals week, but technically I only had one cumulative final. I know not all programs are like that. So we had one cumulative final in Clin Med, but also like we had that cumulative final on like that last Friday, but then we had our Clin Med test like on our last topic on like that Monday. So technically I had 2 Clin Med finals on finals week, and then I had 3 tests that last week, and then that was with no lectures, so it was like every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But then the week prior I had another 3 tests, but that was still including like lectures for those tests the following weeks. Kind of confusing. I know every program is different, like I said, but our finals week our like last exam in every class kind of was like the last 2 weeks of class, if that makes sense. I had like 6, okay, spread out between 2 weeks. It was a lot to study for. We usually have like 2 tests per week, so like the 3 tests a week for 2 weeks in a row was a lot, especially the week where we still had lectures. It's done, I passed. How is PA school life with having a dog? So as some of you have seen in my vlogs, I do have a dog. Her name is Millie. She was adopted, so we don't exactly know what she is. I think she's a German Shepherd, Golden Retriever mix, something like that. Super cute. I'll pop up some pics. PA school life is good having a dog, but I wouldn't be able to do it without my fiance. So we had gotten her and had her trained before I started PA school, which definitely made it a lot easier. And then also living with someone that can also take her out for walks gives me the ability to be out all day studying, or when I'm at class all day, it definitely makes it a lot easier. It would be very difficult for me personally if I was living alone and having a dog. On the other hand, one of my really good friends that I study with all the time, we study mostly at her place because she lives alone and has a dog, and she does just fine. She takes him out whenever he needs to go out while I'm there studying with her, and it doesn't bother me. But she doesn't have that luxury to leave her home for long periods of time, while I do, because I have someone else who can take Millie out for a walk or a pee or whatever. But dogs are great to have on PA school, you know, a little cuddle at night on the couch, a little cuddle after a test that you maybe didn't do so hot on. That part is absolutely great. But like I said, it's different for everyone. I also live further away from campus, so I can't pop home during lunch breaks, while if you did live close to campus, it would make it so much easier. But I do recommend, if you do live alone, that you have your dog to be like old enough and fully trained before you start PA school. It would just be an added stress. It's not impossible. I'll never say it's impossible, because I think everyone should have a dog, but it's difficult. I am starting PA school in a few weeks. Any last minute tips? Relax, take that time off. I took 4 weeks off before PA school, and it was plenty. Sometimes it felt like not enough. Sometimes it felt like too much. Don't study or anything. I might have tried to do a little studying and it just didn't pay off. You're gonna have to learn things the way your program wants you to learn them anyway. So just take the time off, mentally relax, see your friends, see your family, sleep in. Okay, so that's what you should do for like your mental, physical prep. But besides that, other things that you need to prep is getting your supplies. So I do recommend checking out my Amazon favorites, preparing for PA school video. In there, I kind of dive into all the supplies I got before school started. Do you live in an apartment, and how do you study when your neighbors get loud? I do live in an apartment, and I want to say the majority of the people I do go to school with live in an apartment. I feel like that's like a common way to live. Most of us don't have houses in the area, but if you are fortunate enough to have a house, good on you. If not, welcome to apartment living. So I'm fortunate where the way my apartment is set up, I'm on a corner, so I don't really have a lot of walls shared with other people, so I do not personally have to worry about loud neighbors, which is really nice. So if you are looking for an apartment and you have a choice of which unit, try and choose a corner unit, or try and find a unit where the bedroom doesn't line up to another like apartment. But if you do have loud neighbors, I suggest finding a new place to study or getting noise canceling headphones if you're the type of person that can study with like other sound going on. I can't, I need silence, or if I'm in a group, then I'm just talking anyway and the noise doesn't bother me. But obviously with the situation we're in right now, it is a lot of coffee shops aren't open or libraries, but when they are in your area, I suggest going to those, as a lot of schools and programs do have associated libraries to go with them, or even just a public library, it doesn't matter. But I never really was a huge fan of studying at home anyway. I definitely do a lot more now, just with the situation we are in, but I usually like to go to a different place that is silent. So I suggest checking out either a public library, school library, or a coffee shop if you don't mind some background noise. If not, get noise canceling headphones. Do you feel like living with your significant other instead of classmates has made it hard to make friends? Yes and no. So I'm at a stage in my life where I am engaged, and my fiance and I did live together before I started PA school anyway, so obviously the continuation of it made sense, especially since I was staying in the area. In a way, because we are living in a different location than a lot of my classmates, it is more difficult to see them at a more frequent basis. But at the same time, maybe my priorities are different than those that are living alone, if that makes sense. So like I mentioned, I do set aside a time to spend with my significant other because that relationship is something I need to work on while in PA school. Friendships are super important. Like I said, I'm really close with my study partner that I see all the time. I've definitely gone to a lot of social events, like with my class. We're planning more as things start to open up and the weather starts to get warmer here in Pennsylvania, but it can limit you in certain ways. And I feel like if I lived somewhere where I didn't already have an established life, I would go more out of my way to make other friends if I didn't have friends in the area. But yes, it is a little bit more difficult being slightly removed from the location of my other classmates. How much more difficult is it to study in prep than undergrad? Well, PA school is definitely a lot harder than undergrad. So to kind of compare, undergrad, yes, you're a full-time student in undergrad, but not full-time, like 40 hours a week in class, if that makes sense. So you're a full-time student if you're taking like 12 credits in undergrad, I guess. In PA school, when you say you're a full-time student, like you are doing 40 hours a week of most likely just like lectures. So it's a job to sit down and do your lectures and like do your coursework. And then on top of that is when you have your time to study. With that being said, more time spent in class, more work to do, more classes, and more tests to study for. It's just ramped up. So when I was an undergrad, I was able to hold a part-time job and be a part of a team and a club. So I wouldn't have any time to do that now. Like I said, I have to schedule date nights with my fiance. I really didn't study that much on weekends in undergrad, and I really utilize my weekends now. I would say I'm using about 50% of my time on weekends to study, especially when I have a Monday test. And the other 50% is either relaxing or seeing friends and family. As far as how hard the courses are in PA school compared to undergrad, the material you're learning for me is like a little bit harder than undergrad is. What's more difficult is the volume. So the volume you're expected to learn in a short period of time to then be tested on the information. And then on top of that, having another large load of information you need to be tested on in another class the next day. So it's a lot more multitasking, but you definitely use your skills you learned in undergrad and carry them over into PA school. So it's doable. It's just probably 2 to 3 times more busy than undergrad is, if that makes sense. Is it possible to work PRN while in PA school? I know a lot of schools discourage this. Is it possible? Yes. Do I recommend it? No, as a lot of other programs don't recommend it or even forbid it. If I was working PRN while in PA school right now, I would either be failing out or I would be having a mental breakdown. What I'm trying to say is I could not balance working PRN even 8 hours a week while going to PA school. I know there's people that do it. This is my mindset and what I think. You guys asked me my opinion, so I am giving it to you, but take that with a grain of salt and do what you need to do. How do you manage anxiety? So I do not have diagnosed anxiety or anything like that, so I just kind of want to preface with that. But I would say everyone on a certain level experiences anxiety in their life. I definitely get more anxious when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel like I can't complete the tasks that are given to me. How I personally manage it is I make lists of everything I need to complete, which can be kind of anxiety provoking, seeing all the things you need to complete, but it puts it in a more manageable way for me to complete those tasks. And the point is to complete the tasks, because if I get anxious or overwhelmed, I tend to shut down. I will like sit on the couch and ignore the 15 things on my to-do list if it feels unmanageable. So I list things out in a manageable way, especially when I have a lot of tests in a row and I don't think it's possible to like watch all my lectures, study for each exam, and sleep. Like sometimes it seems impossible. What's been really helpful is speaking out my plan, especially me and my study partner. We follow kind of like the same study plan. Speaking it out loud to each other, making like a verbal commitment and a plan to each other definitely helps, as well as it like solidifies your plan like in your brain. And definitely like taking one day at a time. I definitely struggled with that a little bit in the beginning of the semester, and obviously as like busy weeks come and go, like definitely have to be conscious of it. But I think the main thing is just being aware of like how you're acting, being aware of like what you're doing really well, and then also being aware of what you're not doing so well so that you can actively work to fix it. So I think just being conscious of like your emotions and your mental state, which I know is hard, but being aware of those things helps you correct it in real time and kind of like learn from it. And I think I'm like all settled now, like mentally, because I know what works for me. I learned that my first semester, so I'm really excited to go into my second semester, which actually started this week. So that's all the questions I kind of like picked out to answer for you guys, and I hope you learned a lot from them. I had such a fun time answering these questions. I definitely would do a Q&A in the future if you guys had more questions. So follow me on Instagram so that you can look out for any more question boxes I put up in the future. But I have to go back and do more lecture because I'm procrastinating by doing this video right now. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like this video, subscribe, all the things down there, comment, love your comments. I always try and respond to all of them. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye.